Hello everyone, my name is Nick and welcome to this time round 2-week roundup. Thank you for joining me. Hope you've been liking the videos we've been putting up, having a look at games and getting a bit of nostalgia. Now last week, if you've seen this video, dropped a bit of a bombshell saying the ability to continue running the channel going forward might be hindered because I happen to look for work. I'll keep you updated on that. If you haven't seen that video and want to keep updated on what's happening with the channel, then by all means watch that video that went up last week. But I've still maintained the amount going up. A lot of people told me to take a break and been very supportive, so thank you, it is appreciated there. But again, I've managed to get at least the next week's content there. But as I say, I'll keep you updated. So what's been happening this time round then? Well, we've been looking at DRIVECLUB. Those videos, although they take a while to process, they are quite quick to do. So there's a few DRIVECLUB videos that have gone up. We finished the SPEEDBALL 2 Evolution series on the PlayStation 3. There's a playlist for that if you want to check that out as well. Not as good as the original game, but still pretty good. And on the, before we come to the top 6, on the Mega Drive Ultimate Collection on the PlayStation 3, released by SEGA in 2009, we looked at Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I need a lot of practice on these. Sonic is a very fast moving hedgehog. I didn't own these games back in the day, but it's good to have a look at them because I never owned a Mega Drive. Not a bad game, I quite like it. We need to put in the practice. And then of course we looked also at Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So we looked at the trilogy. Sonic Mania is recently come out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, etc. Haven't played it myself, but looks quite good. Looks quite similar, to be honest with you, but just with refined graphics and play. So it was Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 by SEGA in 2009. Also had a look on the pinball tables, had a bit of a break, but I thought we'd at least have a look at one, managed to squeeze in. Looked at this table already on the PlayStation 3, Sim Pinball 2, YOLKFOLK on the PlayStation 4. Plays very similar to the PlayStation 3 version, graphics are updated, sounds are the same. Really good table this one, I really like the Incredible Hulk's voice. The storyline basically is Tony Stark and a few of the others Avengers have banished the Hulk to a planet called Sakaar. He's fallen out of favour with them. The spaceship they built for him and his wife to take them away from Earth exploded. His wife's been killed and their unborn child killed as well, so he's not very happy. And essentially on this planet, the radiation made him even stronger. He's getting back and wants his revenge. So that's World War Hulk, captured quite well in this table. Now before we come to the top 6, as normal, there was a couple that didn't quite make the top 6. Hopefully going forward I have 6 to present you with and the format of this might change. But anyway, what didn't make the top 6? 2 games which are ghostly quiet. I've played 48k versions when I should have played 128k, so they're both on the ZX Spectrum. First one is SUPERTRUX by Elite Systems in 1988. The idea is based on Outrun, where you took a Ferrari across the whole of America. This time, not quite as sexy. You're in a big truck and you're going across Europe. Yeah, doesn't quite work. You're going through checkpoints. On the 48k version, there's no engine sounds, so it's really quiet. Frame rate isn't brilliant, although the Spectrum is attempting a lot here, so kudos for that. Every so often you have to load the tape, which breaks up the gameplay. Overtaking other trucks is tricky. You have to give them quite a wide berth, and skidding's quite all too easy, should we say. All right to see, not a game I would have played a lot. It's overall clever, but quite poor. That was 1988. And the other game which suffers from a similar sort of situation, didn't make the top 6, is Alien Storm by US Gold in 1991. Again, ghostly quiet, graphics are really, really good. It's trying to create the arcade feel of Alien Storm, but the ZX Spectrum's it's going to struggle to do that. They're best with simple games. Busy backgrounds, they're going to struggle with. Now, they kept it all monochrome to avoid a colour bleed. It's clever, but again, quite a bland and boring affair. It's got good mini games, but again, not really exciting me too much. That was SUPERTRUX and Alien Storm. So the top 6 then. Now you might have a different order to these. It's very subjective and nostalgia quite often plays a big part in it. But in 6th place on the ZX Spectrum 48k, I put 3D Stock Car Championship by Firebird Software in 1988. It's a top-down isometric or oblique view racing game. We control any one of 4 cars, so you against 3 AI components. Opponents is probably best, yes. Different tracks, you get different points for winning each race, although it doesn't seem to update you with the points going forward. Over 20 tracks to get through, so it would take you quite a while. Control mechanism isn't too bad. I found it quite easy to use. As these sort of games go, they're always quite basic, based around Super Sprint, games like that. They're always going to be quite basic, but as this one plays, it's okay. It's not as advanced as Ivan Stewart's Super Off-Road. That game, the cars are the same colour, had a problem. These cars are very different colours, they're basic, and I think this is quite a good game for the time. Maybe it came out a few years before, it would be a bit better, but 3D Stock Car Championship, it has got a sequel, which hopefully I'll get time to get to at some point. In 5th place, a James Bond film on the Commodore Amiga, Live and Let Die by Domark in 1988. Now this game frustrates me because essentially it's good. And why does that frustrate me? It doesn't offer very much. The levels are way too long, and any initial excitement you would have had is quite rapidly gone. Now some people that might have owned this back in the day might have stuck with it for hours when there's nothing too much in comparison, absolutely loved it, but I think it's essentially flawed. It's a waste of a license, the James Bond license. What is there initially good? You're in a speedboat and you must go around obstacles, a bit like Buggy Boy on water, one should say, avoiding target, enemy boats, and then shooting doors away so you can go through tunnels, avoiding rocks and various other obstacles. So at the end of the game, you destroy a main enemy's base. A few missions to do. One ice-based in the North Pole, one desert-based, and one sort of like in the country. But they're always the same sort of thing. The only different location makes a difference to the surrounding. So if it's the ice, it's white surrounding. It's the desert, it's yellow. But the game is exactly the same, going down this central canal the whole time. So very boring after a while. Live and Let Die. And in 4th place, I've maybe been a bit kind on this one in the placings, is Antics on the ZX Spectrum 48K, published by Bugbite in 1984. It's the sequel to The Birds and the Bees, so often known as Birds and the Bees 2, this one. Essentially, Boris the Bee from the first game has been kidnapped by killer ants, and his friend Barnaby has to go through a maze and find him and then bring him back out again. Yes, it's a classic Spectrum maze game, which I'm always a sucker for. I got to a certain bit in the review, I thought it played quite well. Very basic again, from one of my favourite eras of gaming, but after a while you would benefit from having a map. A nice cute game, nostalgia fest. So in 6th place we had 3D Stock Car Championship by Firebird Software in 1988 on the ZX Spectrum. 5th place on the Commodore Amiga, Live and Let Die by Domark in 1988. And in 4th place, Antics by Bugbite Software in 1984, and that was on the ZX Spectrum. So now we come to the top 3. Hurrah! Okay. So, as you can see, although we're up against time, we did pack the same amount in again. Sort of. In 3rd place is on the Commodore Amiga, Lethal XCESS by Eclipse Software in 1991. This is a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up. When I originally did another video called my top 10 favourite vertical scrollers of all time, people mentioned a few others I didn't have. It was Wings of Death and Lethal XCESS and Mega Typhoon. We'll come to Mega Typhoon shortly. Wings of Death and Lethal XCESS, the Lethal XCESS is the sequel to Wings of Death. Although they're similar games, the music's quite good on both of them, they wouldn't make my top 5. But having said that, they definitely make my top 10. Lethal XCESS, I'm not sure if I like it more than Wings of Death or not. It's pretty much more of the same thing, although this is set 3,000 years into the future. Still like insectoid life forms, but you know, bit of sci-fi space mixed up with it as well. So Lethal XCESS plays quite well, very tricky, but you know, it gives you some continues. Now, 2nd and 1st place, struggled where to put these because essentially they're the same game and come out in the same year. They use the same engine, and you probably know what they are already because we're already going through this on the ZX Spectrum. But in 2nd place is Dizzy, Prince of the YOLKFOLK by Codemasters in 1991. This series had 7 games, which will come to all of them eventually. If you want to check them all out, then do so on the Spectrum playlist. Tell me what you think. But I'm sort of like getting used to these games now. Dizzy Prince of the YOLKFOLK is no different to the others. Plays almost identically. We have to collect objects, solve puzzles to actually rescue the rest of your YOLKFOLK, and often trapped or there's some sort of problem. By Codemasters in 1991, that one. And in 1st place, marginally better, very marginally, because I like the way that the puzzles are set out a little bit better, is Spellbound Dizzy, again by Codemasters in 1991. It's a bit hard to say what your favourite Dizzy games are. There's Treasure Island Dizzy, Magic Island Dizzy, but quite a few to have a look at. So if you like one, you probably like all of them. Yeah, and there's a few side Dizzy games as well. I've also reviewed Fast Food Dizzy and Quick Snacks. But you know, heads and shoulders above all the other ones there. So third place on the Commodore Amiga is Lethal Excess by Eclipse Software in 1991. In second place is Dizzy, Prince of the YOLKFOLK by Codemasters 1991. And in first place, Spellbound Dizzy by Codemasters in 1991. Thanks for watching the videos as always, it's always appreciated. And until next time, take good care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.